get by with to kill the scaled dragons, and then go to Kefka's Tower immediately? What is the minimum you need, and are you gonna bench all your starting characters? Or are you gonna keep them because they'll be learning spells and stuff?
I think that probably comes down to how many characters people find early on more than anything else. Because if you just get your 3 Espers and your 8 Dragons, you're not going to go around looking for a bunch more characters just to fill out your party because you don't think dance is as good as it could be.
No, at that point, what you really want is gear. I haven't seen anyone check out, I was going to say I haven't seen anyone check out what abilities anyone has. I think I might know.
I have a strong feeling that we have 3 characters with dance so far, but I'm eager to be proven wrong.
I mean, it's a
in which
definite
case
possibility.
There's something wrong somewhere.
We're seeing Javinator going straight for Kefka at Narsh. That Cursed Shield at 6. We're going to see some Paladin Shields on this one.
Yeah, and I also noticed you could see the Umaro spot as he was heading up. That is a character.
And Jack makes the correct choice of taking an Illumina instead of the Esper at the standard lock check. I did not see what Fraggle picked there. But to anyone that isn't that familiar with the rando, the other item is always gettable. Although for this one you would have to have Terra. We are seeing a reset for Javinator there out of that Kefka at Narsh thing for some reason. It wasn't a character, so that's really what you want in this seed.
I almost wonder if he's still trying to look for a different character early on anyways, just because he doesn't want to be stuck with the 3 characters with dance, but it seems like a bit of a weird risk to take resetting out after spending all that time walking up there.
Yeah, we have seen a Thunder Shield on Fraggle's screen. I think I saw Von Merlin picking up rename cards, but he doesn't seem to have used them. Oh, and there's an Ogre Nyx, the most sword that nobody ever uses this thing in the game.
It is definitely a sword that exists, though, which is, a plus.
It's worth some money, and it has a fairly high battle power if you find throw. Mirage Vest, also a notable treasure there for Von Merlin in this World of Ruin South Figaro.
Yep, and Jack also picked up a Thunder Shield out of one of the chests on the map as well, so that's pretty good for him.
Yeah, we saw Fraggle pick that up earlier. Now he's going through the basement. One notable thing about South Figaro in the World of Ruin only, for some reason, is that Edgar gets his kingly discount here. You don't get that in the World of Balance. I'm not sure why. Maybe they just like money a lot more when the world isn't ruined and there's an actual economy.
Possibly, but you would think they wouldn't leave the ice shield that Jack's also managed to find lying around out in the open too, because that's worth quite a bit. I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, but those things are fragile. You can't transport them anywhere. They just break all over the place. And not a lot else I'm seeing notable. Javinator about to check the little treasure house in World of Ruin Narsh. I don't think anybody else went to.
Yeah, and I'm about 90% sure the 3 people who have checked that Narsh weapon shop check, every single one taking that Illumina, which is just kind of an obvious choice, even if you have to take an extra check because you need an Esper at the end for some reason, which is pretty unlikely, you'll still end up faster with that Illumina probably.
Yeah, I made a similar choice in a recent race, and that wasn't even just, this is a free check. It was getting the Lone Wolf check, walking all the way up through Narsh, and I still took an Illumina over an Esper, so... Yeah, Illumina's... It's certainly one of the top 3 items in the game. Arguments could be made in several directions, but it's unquestionably ridiculously useful.
I think it's probably a good argument to make that it's the best item in the game that there isn't a flag to turn off, at very least.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Experience eggs win races also, but less common, seemingly. No, actually. No, Illumina is less common, but whatever. There are some bits of feedback going through on the forums about maybe give us flags to turn off a couple of these top tier items. We have one for Paladin Shields that's been around essentially forever. But that's kind of it. Breakables is the other one. But you can still find those in chests and so on. Jack taking a fight for some reason. Perhaps he forgot to put his Moogle charm on.
Well,
Or no, I know exactly what he's doing. He's going to learn a dance.
Yeah, and this is the second fight he's taken to, and he can't be happy with what he's found in terms of fight, because the first one was that great great behemoth Oscar formation from Kefka's Tower, so I think he might end up looking somewhere else if he's trying to take this fight.
Dueler Fort is also not a good thing. The thing is, where he actually wants to fight is out here on the green spot, because he's trying to learn the landslide dance. Landslide is effectively a really fast flare. It's obnoxiously useful. It is. If you start with dance and a lot of dance, it's the first step you should be doing is going to find the mountain dance wherever you can. Plains Dance, also notably useful. It has a lot of chance to heal, as well as some pretty good attacks on it. It's got a Wind Slash and Plasma and a couple other things. But
yeah, did Fraggle just find Illuminas for sale in a shop?
I was not looking down there. That is a possibility. And if so, he has just gained a significant advantage.
He sure has. They seem to be in Narshan World of Balance in the weapons shop. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's a place everyone can go. Jack pulling out Palador somehow. Did he use a Magicite?
I believe so,
He
yes.
doesn't have an Esper yet. But just doing anything he can to get this Boras down and learn that dance, which I can pretty much guarantee is going to be the mainstay of his offense for quite a while. Jack knows how dance works, which is why we're seeing him go there immediately.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, too, along those lines you were saying about the Plains Dance also being useful because of the healing chance of, you could get both and then alter how many of your dancers are using each thing on the basis of what do I need in this individual fight. So it offers some level of customizability if you get both of those early on. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if someone goes dance hunting if they do try and find that Plains fight, although I don't necessarily think they will, just having the Illumina on their hand already.
Yeah, Fraggle taking another reset there, finding a presenter in a box. One thing to note about having multiple dances, because every time I think about it, I go, oh, well, I'll just have them dance different dances at the same time. You can still stumble when you've already started dancing if you change the background with another dancer. So that does reduce the strategic ability to use multiple dances simultaneously, but if you keep a couple people controllable, then, you do what you want. Just switch them out as needed.
Yeah, especially if more people find, those Illuminas for sale that Fraggle found. You buy a couple of those, and then you have one person who's able to heal if need be, and if not, they can just do damage elsewise, and that would be pretty strong. Our finding sets are at this Doma World of Balance check, though.
Yep. Jaminator also finding a ribbon that I didn't notice in that basement. And Jack has to fight a Kefka, which should not be a problem because he knows quote-unquote flare. And there it is. So
Yeah,
this
good old
will do
flare light.
a lot of damage. 600 damage when you're level 3 is crazy. And it takes, 4 seconds instead of flare, which is 13-ish. Flare.
Yeah, if you're using flare for your offense, you're just spending about half of your time playing the game sitting there waiting for the animation to go off. So it's definitely a better alternative.
Yeah, it's very slow, but a reliable way to get through the game. Jack getting a lot of landslides. This is the other notable thing about this dance. Landslide dances work such that there's sort of a 1 in 16 or more chance for each of the dances. each of the abilities in the dance to get cast. I don't recall the specifics of Landslide, but it might be as high as 6 in 16. It might even be the 8. I think it goes 8, 6, and then some numbers below that you don't really care about. Also, Mountain Dance does have the sun bath that the Plains Dance does, and it's much less common, so I say that and it happens again, but, you know, that's how rolling dice works. Ooh, Fraggle finds quite possibly the worst fight in the game.
Oh, that's really unfair. He's had a lot of resets just due to bad encounter luck and a bad monster in a box already.
Yeah, but we do know why he's doing it. He's the only one that figured out that he needs a lot of money. Or maybe he just really wanted that town dance for some reason. But we are now seeing Von Merlin checking this Illumina or Esper option, and thought about it for a second, but went for the Illumina, and that is the correct choice.
You know, I do like the continuity there, you know, World of Balance, weapon shop guy selling Illuminas, he only has one left after the end of the world. It's a nice little bit of lore going on there.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing to point out. Being told in chat that Landslide is 7 in 16 chance. So that's almost 50% chance when you're doing the Mountain Dance that you're going to cast a really fast flare. This Kafka seems to have a lot of health, though.
Now, is scaled stats on in this flag, or is it still off?
I do not recall. I probably left it with Normalized Distort, which is the standard flag these days.
It sure is on. I still have the flags up. I just wasn't sure if you knew off the top of your head or not.
Nah, man, I wrote these down like a week ago.
That's fair.
I don't remember what I did this morning.
You don't remember what you did this morning, and I'm too lazy to just tab over and click on one thing on my other monitor, so...
We're very professional. And everybody, welcome into chat. The steadfast tracker of many of our races, Franklin, who is the person who had that landslide info for me. You will also notice now, those of you who have been paying attention, that all our characters have gotten very old, waiting for Winds of Winter. Still just sitting on Dance of Drgns. All gone gray in the head.
I think the real question is, how are we going to come up with the Winds of Winter flag set in the future if that ever actually comes out as a book?
Just make every dance the ice dance. Only allow tempests.
Every weapon is either a Tempest or a Blizzard, and there's nothing else for sale or available anywhere.
Only ice magic is available. It could be done. It would require Atma's cooperation, though. And that is a fairly good point from Franklin in the chat. Jack's been growing gray since he was 20. If you want some lore about Jack. And why that statement was correct. Jack now finding an Air Force in the sky. While Fraggle looks like he's about to run for the tunnel armor check here. After maybe grinding a bit.
I mean, it's definitely a safe place to grind, is right next to the instant heal at least, so... Hopefully the tunnel armor fight won't give him too much trouble after going through all this grind. If so, he's gonna be very disappointed with having done this grind here.
Oh yeah, there was a race done with Javinator and Jack, and I think Von Merlin might have been in it too, a couple days ago, testing out the ranked system on the Discord. And we all had to grind there because there was an Inferno. So that can go very badly. And you've used all this time to grind. Jack finding a dead check. But it's an experience egg, and as I said earlier, experience eggs win races.
I feel like it's especially true in this flag set where you have such low requirements too, because it's basically saying, you know, you're going to have a pretty big leg up on at least keeping your levels fairly even with what you might need late game.
That is a rough Gao, but Jack is taking him, not resetting. Although, it's questionable whether Jack has saved recently. I think I just saw a Minerva out of the corner of my eye on Javinator's screen. Von Marlin also taking the fight to Kefka. Hasn't taken the time to learn any dances, but he does have a rod. And maybe some other things to throw out. As I said at the start, kind of a test of whether you know how dance work, these flags. Because there's some very clear things you can do right off the bat to make it very useful. But a lot of the runners will just bench anybody who has dance immediately. So I don't think a lot of them have learned those strategies.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see them carry through for a while, because right now, what are your other options? Are you going to take the runic morph Gao that can't actually really do anything, aside from maybe transform and break a rod that you found somewhere, or cast magic once you actually get an Esper?
Yeah, that Gao is very amusing. I know why Jack took him. Jack likes morph and runic a lot, so once he gets magic, we might see him pull Gao out, and it might be that he just hadn't saved. Fraggle finding Umaro, unfortunately only knows the cave dance, which has a lot of insta-kill style moves, and this boulder thing, which I think is like a sap, or a... I don't know what it does. It's not a dance you should use. It's not a good dance.
Answer the quick question from Moondock in chat, how does dance work? Basically, dance is a 1 in 16 chance, so it rolls between 16 different things, and there's usually one ability that has a 7 in 16 chance, one that has a 6 in 16 chance, one that has a 2 in 16 chance, and one that has a 1 in 16 chance. So basically you're casting random abilities out of that pool, and also it can fail for no reason if you're not in the right type of terrain for the dance you're trying to use.
Yeah, if you're on the wrong terrain, you have a 50% chance of stumbling when you try to dance, which is one reason a lot of people don't like it. But again, that early flare can do massive wonders for you. And even just having the plain stance to heal people, a bunch of other things. There's lots you can do with dance.
Yeah, and I do know that there's been some talk in the suggestions channel on the Discord recently about coming up with a flag to turn off stumbling and dance, like maybe make sketch always hit as well, and sort of fix these you have a random chance to fail commands to be a bit more interesting and usable.
Yeah, I will say sketch would still not be a very good ability, since it doesn't really do anything on most bosses.
Yeah, it'd still be terrible, but it would be like occasionally usable if you have nothing else.
Oh, you can use it in random battles to great effect, if you for some reason know the sketch table, or if you just use it randomly on some things because you've got nothing better to do, and then it turns out they have Gale Cut or something. And Jack taking a trip to find what appears to be Go-Go in the underground Figaro castle. Again, hasn't reset out, but there are 2 other checks he can get here. I don't think we've seen anybody just straight up go to Figaro in the world of balance to get whoever's sitting on the throne.
Well, you do have to do this check eventually anyways, because of the 8 dragon requirements. You might as well get it out of the way early, even if it's just a character. And Go-Go's not necessarily a bad prize by any means.
Yeah, you could give him dance 3 times.
Exactly.
6 times the dance for 6 times the fun. Javinator showing off that the town dance, though not a dance that's easy to get in the actual game until the World of Ruin. It does have some quite nice spells. It's got Elf Fire and that other one that looks like Elf Fire but confuses things.
Elf Fire and you wish it was Elf Fire.
Yeah, basically. Except in certain cases. But Jack now has Paladin Shield Ultima on Dancing Edgar, so he's essentially invincible. Von Marlin taking out that Kefka to be rewarded with the Setzer. And Fraggle still plugging away at Umaro.
Yeah, it seems pretty stable for him. It's just taking a long time. It's kind of one of the little downsides of the normalized stats flag sometimes, is you can get in these fights that you're not going to have a hard time killing, but are going to take quite a while just because of the increased HP pool.
Yeah, frankly, if I was him, I'd be mad that I had given Locke an Ice Shield or a Paladin Shield or whatever is keeping him from dying. Because that constant dance is doing him a disservice in this case. Cave In, again, not a good ability, doesn't do anything to most bosses. Jack finding Rexol and Tentacle. Not a good boss to find with a non-specific command like Dance. As you can see, he's killing some of those little soul sabers. Which are annoying, because there's no point in killing them unless there's a very specific quality of life thing that turned off that's normally turned on. But they just take so long to die and then come back. But Rexol himself, kind of an annoying boss even anyway. Bolt 3's coming out against Jack already. That's that progress times 3 showing up. Oh no, wait, didn't I? I've forgotten my own flags again.
It is progress.
It's original abilities, yes. So that explains that. There is no scaling involved in the enemy's abilities today.
Which is probably a good thing. We did see Fraggle managing to get through that Umaro finally.
Yep. Von Merlin coming up to it now. What did Fraggle get from that? I was looking away from it.
Got an Esper out of it. I did not see which one it was. I just know that it was an Esper.
Well, time for him to see what he picks. Is it going to be a 4-for-4 Illuminas? No, he's just going to take a nap.
Now, see, I always actually somehow managed to walk into that bed completely by accident, so I'm wondering if that's what just happened there.
Oh yeah, you only have to take one extra step down and you're stuck in the bed. And it's another Illumina. Franklin pointing out in chat that the water rondo also is useful. The difficulty with that in vanilla, which is the place most people are going to learn what dance does, is that to get it, you have to get Mog in the World of Balance, then go through the Serpent Trench, then go all the way around the world to get back to your airship, and hope that nobody has stolen it in the meantime. So it's not one you see very often, and probably a lot of people don't really know what it does.
No, what I almost wonder is if you view that water rondo as particularly valuable, which I'm not entirely sure you view it as valuable enough to go out of your way for, in a seed like this, where every single random fixed encounter that you're gonna get is escapable, you could go down the Serpent Trench, take just one battle down there, escape from all of them, and you're stuck watching the slow animation of going through the Serpent Trench. But I almost wonder if there might be a situation where that could be okay.
Jack does have Gao, and I know he likes his fixed encounter things, so we might see him go down there. That remains to be seen. Fraggle fighting a Funbaba in the snow. Still only knows Dusk Requiem, and here's another thing about dance. If you use one and it changes the background, you no longer learn the dance from the background that you started the fight on. So you don't really want to be trying to learn dances during a boss fight. But similarly, if you have rough enemies and your only recourse to damage is dance, you might want to just run away if you want the dance from that location.
I think Fraggle's in a bit of a unique position there, because I think he has bought one of those Illuminas that he found for sale as well. So for him specifically, he might not need to rely on dance as much as everyone else does yet, who would only have the one that you're able to just beat things down with.
Oh, absolutely. Illuminas are ridiculous, and Fraggle's the only one that's found them. I'm fairly certain, because the only other person that went into World of Balance Nurse, I believe, was Javinator, and he just walked straight up to Kefka and reset. So, yeah, Fraggle does have a major advantage on that. I can basically guarantee Jack's never going to find them in that shop because of the way we see him shop in every restreamed race he does. And he finds his first Esper sitting on the throne with a ghost. It teaches life 3 and has an HP plus 100%.
It seems like a pretty good pickup in a seed with only 3 Espers required, in that it's sort of like a soft calmness protection for later.
Yeah. Fraggle has found his first Esper as well. No, he already had one. It is Stray. Sorry, Stray is the one he had. It is Odin, and it has Cure, Life, and Ice 3 on it. So, not terrible. Ice 3 is good to have. Those, I mean, it's always nice to have any magic that gets you off the ground as well, but regular Cure isn't going to get you very far.
Yeah, it'll be good for, like, keeping your party up in between checks so you don't have to go heal someplace, but other than that, it's pretty kind of useless.
Yeah, if you run out of Phoenix Downs, it'll get you off the ground as well. Fraggle fighting the first Drgon of the seed, a Storm Drgon. And he has Bolt too, which, I don't know about you, but I always thought, until I started playing randomizers of this game, that would give it health. I just presumed it was a lightning elemental because of the storm.
I actually forgot and thought it did until just now, so I'm actually relearning things as time goes by, so yes. I know exactly what it means.
It's actually a wind elemental Drgon, and lightning is its weakness. So Fraggle showing off some inobvious game knowledge there. Von Marlin taking a fight in a forest, perhaps just to learn the dance.
I think we're about to see Dragon number 2 here on Jack's side. A question in chat of, did they start with their character requirement met, or did they get lucky and get all 3 characters they needed to kill all dragons? Yep, they started with the 3 characters that are required to get to dragons, and all 3 of them had their commands set to dance by default, which is part of the gimmick of this week's seed.
Yep, if I am... Jack tried to get by that dragon, but didn't quite. He would have to fight it anyway, and it's the worst dragon in the game. But if I'm going to roll up a seed, I will not put dragon requirements above 5 unless you start with the characters that you need for more dragons. Simply because it can turn into a do the entire seed, which isn't fun.
Yeah, it can be fun in some other games. In this one, there's just a bit too much to do, to where if you're doing every single check to get those open, you're spending several hours at that point.
Yeah, it goes from, being an hour and a half to 3 hour seed to being, oh, this might take 5 hours.
For more information on random times when seeds go bad, please refer to KGP Week 6.
God, jeez. Yeah. You can have seeds go horribly wrong. Is that the week where it was required that you had to do the Fanatics Tower?
Yep, the seed where it was required you had to do Fanatics Tower, and it was just everything that could go wrong with an otherwise really good flag set went wrong.
Yeah, Javinator there noping out of that Gao thing. The other interesting thing, I mean, they do have... Cyan has 5 checks to himself, some of them which cannot be characters. Edgar's got the 3, Locke's got 3. But we have seen a bunch of characters already, so it is possible. We've seen a bunch of characters in a dead check. It's possible that if they sit on the 3 characters the whole time, that they will not be able to find all 3 Espers they need.
And I think that's probably good in some ways, because it does mean that the seed is going to direct you immediately to something that'll get you the opportunity to find more espers. And then once you get through all of those easy checks, the ones that are still left are really high likelihood to be espers, relatively speaking.
Yeah, Jack has found a Ragnarok and a Scrapham Esper. I should probably be more specific about that. He found a Scrapham Esper and a Ragnarok sword. Sword from the Drgns, Scrapham from the lady who has maybe smoked a little bit too much weed and is now just totally stoned. Javinator. Yeah. Javinator we are seeing going for the Opera House, another Drgn location. His first Drgn, it would seem.
It does also mean that we've had 3 different people take 3 different dragons for their first one. With Jack going for the Ancient Castle one, Fraggle went up Narsh to pick up the Snowfield one, and now it looked like Javinator was going to go for the Opera House. It looks like he might be backing out of that, or at least going shopping in Jador first.
I think he's decided he needs to shop. Or just needs an inn and doesn't have a tent. Which also means he needs to shop. I was about to say it looks like Von Merlin has found Umaro on the plains, but no, that's just a dance. Dance. Wind Slash, I believe, is the most common attack you're going to see out of the Plains Dance. It's pretty good. And we did see Von Merlin. I don't know if he stopped to grind at all or if he just did one fight in each environment, but he did definitely stop to get some dances after that failed attempt to get through here a moment ago.
You know, I wonder if did just do the one fight because he thought that having a dance that has a higher heal chance will probably do the same amount of work as leveling would at this point.
Well, last time he didn't have any dances, so he was just essentially relying entirely on a single Illumina, which was not going to get him through. We are seeing that nobody is confused at this point, so I think they all have the Paladin Shield in play as well. And Javinator finds a Skull Drgn.
That's probably the best prize you could find early on, I think, out of all of them. That or just an elemental one where they have Ice 3 available on a couple of Espers. One of them were to stumble across the Fire Dragon, it would probably die pretty quickly.
Yeah, Skull Drgn probably... I mean, outside of Kefka's Tower, when you might wind up fighting it with 1 or 2 people and Doom can be a hassle, usually the easiest dragon in the game. Fraga pulling out the El Nino. Somehow. And Von Merlin has gotten through his dance with Umaro. Umaro has not made it through, however. Umaro.
Picking up that first Esper too, and he's a little tiny bit behind. You know, Stray also is, in this case, pretty bad. All it really has is that 20% or times 20 Berserk on it, which could be really useful in one niche situation, but I don't know. He's feeling a little bit behind at this point to me.
Yeah, I'd say it's more useful for the 100% HP so the characters can get swole. And Fraggle actually showing off one of the little weirdnesses of dance. With some screens, either this counts as ice, or it just doesn't change when you do the ice dance, which is where he got that El Nino. I had forgotten El Nino was part of it. Mostly you get Surge, I think. Or something that looks like Surge anyway.
Oh, it is Surge. It does that right as you say that.
Yeah, there it is. And that's exactly what you want against Rexall, because he is weak to ice. And even this early, Surge is a fairly strong ability. Rexall has a lot of magic defense, and that's already doing 800, so... And I think that was Edgar casting it as well, so that's not a lot of magic power coming from the character.
Yeah, between that and the lock casting Ice 3, I think it's going to be pretty easy for him to get through this fight.
Yep, and he's got a Paladin Shield laying around, so he's not going to have any issues. Jack going after the quote-unquote Dirt Drgn, which is in fact a Skull Drgn. And I didn't actually see what Javinator won from that fight.
from the
Skull
Force
Bird.
Shield at Opera Dragon.
Ah. Decent shield. Not what most people are gonna want. I mean, I use them. I also use Force Armor a lot, but in any discussion of what's the really top tier stuff, no one ever says Force anything.
It's something that sort of, to me, always reads as this is really good if I don't have any of the extremely good options. Like, it's the first thing in that second tier of armor and shield.
Yeah, it is top second tier, and there's usually more of them than anything you're going to find in the top tier, just because there's so many of them in the base game. And Von Marlin seeing the go-go, going after the Edgar checks. Fraggle going up to find himself a Bismarck, I believe. Might not even check it, actually. He does have the requirements, and he did say before the race he was going to do something stupid. So he may just be running straight for the end.
There is a chance that he goes up and looks to see if it's a character, just to give himself a little bit more breathing room, where he only has that small party he has now. But I don't think he'll actually bother picking it up if it's an Esper, which is unfortunate, because that's the 100% HP plus life 3 one.
Yep, and there is another danger to not getting unnecessary checks, which is, I guess, with the... I did put it at progress ×3 in case people didn't pick unnecessary checks. Thunder Shield outside of Mount Zozo there for Javinator. But 8 ×3... 24, so yeah, 24 is a high enough level. And then you have the 3 characters that you could get decent experience the whole time. But depending on how you routed it, it's entirely possible you wind up at Kefka, who isn't scaled, with not enough experience. Although they are fighting Drgns.
I think it also depends on how much money they get lying around, too. Like, if you find a Genji glove and you buy a couple of Illuminas, you don't necessarily care how many levels you have for Kefka. You've basically won the game.
Yeah, double Illumina is essentially you win. Jack and Javinator finding a hero ring, one behind the other here, going up Mount Zozo. Von Marlin getting into that fight with the Tentacle Rexol. I was trying to think of a joke there, and it didn't work. If anyone would like to think of their own jokes, please write into our P.O. box, and then we'll ignore your letters. And so will the Postal Service, because we don't have a P.O. box.
You know, you're not supposed to tell them that you won't read their letters, but I think they probably figured it out anyways.
Well, I mean, we do have the entire internet here, right? So we can't possibly read all of them either way.
Looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Absolutely. Please send in all the physical letters in the world, entire internet.
Anyways, there's a gold dragon up Mount Zozo, and that's pretty easy.
That is another bottom tier Drgon in terms of danger. Basically, all it does is cast variations of Bolt. Fraggle going for the monster in a box here, finding a wolf, and then he hits it with the strongest sword in the game and wins. I believe Jack just stole a dragon horn from that dragon. That clearly doesn't have a horn. Or if it does, it's probably not safe to talk about on Randomania.
I suppose you could make an argument that like upper nose beak on this obviously a dinosaur and not a dragon could be counted as a horn if you were trying.
Oh yeah, like all those parrots. You know, the parrot horns that you can get.
Exactly. You know, sometimes it's just a matter of how you define things, not a matter of what's actually right.
Yeah, I saw a show recently where someone described duck beaks as long, hard lips. So, the world is up to you.
I hope you enjoyed that fact, entire internet, because that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, Jack has found a lot of spells on a Siren Esper. I saw Fire 2 and Flare and something else that I don't remember.
I think the Fire 2 is the better prize there, because why would you ever really want Flare if you have, like, slightly better Flare anyways? I mean, it's more reliable because you can hit it every turn, but honestly, at that point, do you really want to waste the 3 hours it takes for every single Flare animation to go off?
Probably not, especially Jack. Oh, there's Plasma being shown for, I believe, the first time on Javinator's screen. Not the boss where you want that to come out, because it is, for some reason, well, I guess Plasma is technically matter dispersed in an electrical field. But you look at it and you don't immediately go, oh, that's electricity. Von Merlin got some stuff going on his screen. And Fraggle has gotten past the Dirt Durgan, although 2 of his characters are taking dirt naps. Magus Rod for the Dirt Durgan and the Ragnarok we saw earlier when Jack killed it.
I feel like having any character dead when you kill a dragon in this particular flag set is an extremely bad thing to have happen to you, just because of how tight XP could be in the end.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Really unfortunate for him.
It's rough. Also, if he was trying to learn any spells, that's 50 MP he's not getting. So, not ideal. Jack taking their first dip into the Phoenix Cave here while Javinator finishes up Mount Zozo. And Von Merlin making his way out of Figaro? Nope, still hasn't done the second part.
Well, Jack did pick up that third Esper at the top of Mount Zozo, so at this point he's just in full-on go kill the dragons and then head straight to Kefka's tower mode in all likelihood.
Oh yeah.
So,
and
expect that to be happening pretty quickly.
For anybody familiar with how Jack has played this game, he will definitely just run straight at Kefka as soon as possible. Fraggle, I did hear before the race saying similar things about his strategy for tonight. He does have a couple extra things now, so does Jack. Everybody has extra characters. Javinator and Von Merlin have 5, Fraggle still got the 4, and Jack has 6.
And we've had pretty good luck in this case, in that a lot of the checks that have dragons on them have had espers too, so I feel like if you're just going and getting all of your dragons, you will get those 3 espers just by walking the 3 steps to get the next thing that's near you.
Yep, the espers have not been hidden in this seed. Jack has found an ice Drgan. Sorry, an ice dragon.
Fun fact, Ice Dragon, the only actual dragon in the game.
I guess it could be if it's one of those Chinesey dragons.
Well, no, I mean, all the other ones are the Drgns. This is the only dragon.
Oh, I see what you've done there. And now I look like a fool, which is fine, because, I am. So, look at me caper in my multicolored hat. Jack making very short work of that dragon. And finds an Illumina. So, Illumina's everywhere this seed. There was one from a choice at the luck check. There's one from a dragon that everyone has to kill. And there are Illuminas for sale, though only one of our racers has noticed that yet. And that particular racer, going up Fanatic's Tower. This is one of the checks I don't think we'll see people go all the way to the top of, though Celeste is a pretty good character.
Celeste is a pretty good character, but I'm not sure if Celeste is walk all the way to the top of Fanatic's Tower, deal with the boss there, and walk all the way back down good is the only real issue there.
That is a major issue as well. So, I'll be very surprised if people actually go for the check, but I won't rule it out entirely. I say Celeste. Oh, now I'm thinking about it and I don't know how to pronounce it. Celeste. I say Celeste. Franklin.
I usually say it as Celez, personally, so it's more of a Z than an SS sound at the end of it.
Yes, this is the problem when works of fantasy don't come with pronunciation guides.
The pre-voice acting era did have some downsides like that.
Oh yeah, I've also read entire 1,400-page fantasy novels and gotten to the end and gone, oh, this has a little dictionary in the back. And I'm gone, oh, I've been pronouncing this word that shows up every third page completely wrong the whole time. Hooray! Ooh, Vaughn. Not having a nice time there. First person, I think, aside from Fraggle, to have to reset.
I believe we did see a reset early on from Javinator going up.
Yes. That was not a required reset, though. He opted for that. And I'm still not sure why.
I think he thought, maybe it's worth taking this risk if this is something worthwhile. Maybe he, for some reason, thought he'd gone to the World of Ruin and then didn't realize that he had actually still been in the World of Balance. I'm not actually sure, but I feel like maybe he thought it was an okay idea.
He must have. He did it. Jack following on Fraggle's footsteps here with going for the white/blue Drgon. And Von Marlin fighting that Drgon underground, which I suppose is an appropriate place for him. Javinator on his way to do a similar thing.
I suppose it has paid off for Fraggle pretty well getting that Berserk, because this is the one niche situation where Berserk is wonderful. That and running into Magimaster anywhere but here.
Yeah, this is not something you see a lot either. Berserk is usually reserved for that niche Magimaster thing. But if you have very strong weapons and not much else to do, why not? We are seeing also that basically everyone found enough good stuff early enough to not use dance anymore, except for Javinator, who is still throwing that plains dance around.
Speaking of good things to find, the reward for that blue dragon did end up being an Aegis shield as well, so that's going to be another great thing to have. It's becoming very, very hard for anything to hit Fraggle's party.
Yeah, that's another nigh magically invulnerable person, because that's going to put him at 100, I think. Is an Aegis shield 30 or 50? It's a lot of magic in there.
It is a lot of resists outside of that too, so even if the magic does hit, it's going to help him quite a bit.
Yeah, Jack getting through that Drgon. Okay, it's Bolt 3 that's on Siren. That's the spell I couldn't quite get a glimpse of earlier, so... Yeah, if you have Flare and Bolt 3 on the same Esper, if you're not fighting something immune to lightning, you're using Bolt 3. It's not technically stronger. Well, no, it is technically stronger. Flare is supposed to get by on piercing magic defense, but because of the way the math in this game works, it's usually not that big a deal to just go for the straight damage and deal with the defense.
Plus, in this particular case, basically everyone has Ice 3 as well, so I don't think you're going to see anyone ever use Flare.
We might see it pop out for a girl, but outside of that, I don't see it coming into play much.
It's the real question. Do you waste the Flare animation on girl, or do you just really, really hope your Illuminas don't proc?
As predicted, Jack... Just immediate Kefka's Tower without question or preparation, because that's how he plays the game. Sometimes it works out for him, and sometimes he hasn't saved for 40 minutes.
Well, no matter what, this is going to be a very interesting Kefka's Tower run. It's either going to be a great display of what goes right in a seed, or a wonderful display of what can accidentally go wrong in the wrong circumstances.
Overconfidence can be your downfall, but sometimes, and often, in the case of Jack, it just works out. There is a lot you can do in this game to get through stuff if you know how it works. Even if it doesn't look like you have much, you can still get through most things. Fraggle about to fight, I believe it was a Bolt Drgn. Gold Drgn. You might as well call it a Bolt Drgn. Don't really do anything else aside from die all over the place.
I think they renamed it Bolt in the re-releases, but yeah.
I agree. I agree with Oh, there's our
Ted
nice
didn't come up with it for this, doesn't count.
son of a Samaritan. We caught a little glimpse of Atma there, making his traditional cameo at the top left as someone walks through a Kefka's tower. Extraordinarily rare for anyone to actually touch that check. Point of lore about the randomizer. That Atma check used to be able to be anything. So you could get a character or an Esper there. And then Atma realized that Atma wasn't getting seen by anyone, so Atma took Atma out of the list of things that Atma can give. Because Atma decided that was a good idea, and now Atma isn't used. I'll give you a minute.
Anyways. No, I don't think I've ever actually seen anyone go for Atma in a race aside from one time when, I forget who it was, but they said that they had for some reason thought it was required. That was in the early weeks of the KGP when we had a lot of new players being restreamed as well.
Yeah, we do have lots of guides and stuff for that in the Discord, which I might as well link to at this point. Lots of resources for new people, but there's a lot to this game, so you're not going to be able to learn everything right away, especially if you're not super familiar with the vanilla game. And while I'm throwing links, everyone go follow the runners, because some of them that aren't Jack are good people. And also, we're here, and outside of me, the other people are pretty good. So go give them a follow. Just ignore me and Jack. We're not important. Jack fighting the red Drgn with his double command cow with no ability to use magic, which is just hilarious.
He's there participating.
I mean, he's got Runic. Runic is very useful. I just don't think it's necessary in his particular seed, given the gear that's been handed out. Javinator fighting the Dirt Drgn. Fraggle seemingly going for the Skull Drgn. Not Rez.
I do see Jack's strategy now. This sort of gave it away with that menuing. It seems like his plan is play past the Illuminas around and just double Illumina literally everyone with
Illumina
that.
Illumina and Ragnarok, but yeah. Oh no, he does have two Illuminas, right? Because he found another one from that Drgn. But yeah, if you've got Illuminas, Magus Rods, Paladin Shields, Ragnaroks, you can pretty much do what you want with the rest of your gear. And he's only going to need one or two characters to get through Final Kefka, if he can do that.
Yeah, and at that point, you might as well just pass them back and forth, because that menuing is going to be way shorter than actually going to try and find gear somewhere.
Yeah, Illuminas are just stupid good. Von Merlin was considering a dance there for a moment. I think he elected not to. And Jack is fighting good old Dad Illuma. Who is actually kind of annoying with the normalized distort stats, because I don't remember the exact specifics on this, and it clearly hasn't come up here, but once you, I think, physically attack him 5 times, he starts throwing stuff at you. And having anything thrown at you in this game is about the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, pretty much a guaranteed one-shot with that normalize and distort stats flag on, no matter what it is. You will just have that character die instantly.
There are 2 Espers that teach Berserk at 20 times, so Peoples is gonna know Berserk, I guess.
It's just really unfortunate that, you know, you have the double Illumina strats, because that Berserk is never gonna hit the person with the 2 Illuminas.
That is something you have to take into account when Illuminars are getting passed around. Certain things, certain strategies involve hitting your own party with quote-unquote offensive spells. So that just doesn't work. And Jack fighting his final Drgon, whilst Fraggle runs into the Phoenix Cave. Von Merlin quite a ways behind on the Dragons. That's just his 2nd kill of a dragon. Javinator sitting on 4. Fraggle about to hit 6 and probably run for KT.
I think Von Marlin will catch up a little bit, at least with Javinator, because Javinator still has to go through that whole Ancient Castle sequence, and I'm pretty sure Von Marlin has basically gone through all the long ones, although he is still finishing up Mount Zozo anyways to get that final Esper.
I am writing something down. Please vamp for a moment.
Absolutely. So Jack has taken down that final dragon. Does get a Pearl Lance for it, which, I mean, I guess you could use it. There were Dragoon boots for sale. I don't know if you bought any anywhere. You did pick up that dragon horn off of one of the other dragons, the Bolt Dragon, I think. So pretty okay plan if he doesn't have enough elsewhere. You know, you might as well just strap that onto someone and hope that jump works out in your favor there.
Yeah, finding a dragon horn, usually one of the better relics you can find in the game, but it is pretty situational. You need a good weapon, someone who can use that good weapon, and you have to find Dragoon boots or someone with natural jump. And often you don't get everything you need for that Dragoon strategy. Those 4-ton blocks apparently made of bronze today, with a nice little gold inlay.
Very classy. They're very, you know, I want to have fancy 4-ton blocks, but I don't want to spend too much money on this 4-ton block.
Yeah, I mean, if you take care of bronze, it'll look fine. And if you don't, it'll look like the Statue of Liberty, which, point of interest, is made of bronze. And green.
Yeah, so it'll either look, you know, classy or historic, and that's a good thing.
Yep. And it's an Ulthros. Level 1 unevolved Ulthros. Hasn't even developed tentacles yet. And it's gone. And it's gone.
Honestly, at the rate he's taking down these bosses, it almost feels like Jack will be at the final Kefka fight by the time anyone else gets into Kefka's tower.
Oh yeah, there have been really no rough bosses that have come out at all. Anywhere that I've seen, really. So there's still a possibility of him running into something that might put some kind of damper in his stride, but I think he's basically good for a sub 130.
It also looks like we found the one use of Flare as well.
Ah yes, Ifrit and Shiva will only be damaged by magic that is either non-elemental or their specific weakness. Oh, and I'm being corrected in the chat. The Statue of Liberty is in fact copper and not bronze. And if you would like a second point of interest that I know is true, it was meant to go green, so it's not like they didn't take care of it. They always knew that was going to happen. And Javinator looking like he's going up for the Valley Garmandus check. No, just going into a different screen to work. Jack has failed to kill Ifrit. and failed to run away during that moment that you can run away from this fight when Ifrit is switching to Shiva and vice versa. And for a moment it doesn't count as a boss for some reason. I don't remember the specifics on that.
I think it's because neither boss is technically in the fight at that point. It defaults back to runnable because there's nothing in the encounter that's unrunnable at that short couple of frames.
I did not remember that Shiva could move forward like that. Although I also don't remember the last time I saw Shiva. So that was weird. But Javinator now climbing the tower. Fraggle messing around with his menu. And Von Merlin digging down an ice Drgon.
You know, I think I've figured out what his silly strategy was, which is that he has that Go-Go, but he never bothered putting Go-Go in his party.
And?
So he's just planning on going with the 3 dancers and nothing else, I would guess, at this point.
Well, that is a possibility, I suppose. I mean, if you're gonna go for a silly strategy, obviously what you do... Oh, has he forgotten that Illuminas are for sale? That seems like a weird thing to forget. I don't know why he'd go spend money on this.
Well, if he has enough Illuminas to handle the party he has, then there's a chance that he might be thinking, okay, I should buy this on the off chance that it's an Esper that gives me, like, calmness somewhere.
I believe he has access to Life 3, which is calmness protection. He does also have 3 Illuminas, which is, in and of itself, a fair chunk of calmness protection.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's necessarily the right option there, but that could be something that's going into his thought process. Or he could not know it's a Esper and be hoping it's an item, hope it's a Genji glove or something like that with that extra Illumina he has sitting in his inventory.
Yeah, that is the problem with World of Ruin to Zen. It is an Esper in this case, but in the World of Balance, he'll say, you want to buy this glowing stone, or something to that effect. Whereas in the World of Ruin, he will only ever say, do you want to buy this thing? Whether or not it is an Esper. And Von Merlin coming up to the end of the Phoenix Cave here. Javinator fighting that blue Drgon in the tower. And Fraggle naming lock dance. Dance. Well, he can't fit Revolution in here. He might be going for Commander. Because you must obey the dance commander. He's giving out the orders for fun. And if anybody would like a list of the 100 other songs that came up as memes in the pre-race chat, look them up yourself.
Yeah, dance puns have been the order of the day for this. Jack now getting through that final Warring Triad boss, in this case, Vargas. I had a moment of, ooh, we finally found an interesting fight here, but it ended up being number 24 and not Magi Master, so...
Yeah, Magi Master, definitely an issue. Number 24, very rarely an issue. As long as you got enough damage to take him out quickly, which you generally do, he doesn't do anything annoying. Also, he's weak to almost every status effect in the game. And once you know that, anything you've got, you can use to help take him out pretty handily. But he will cause a little flutter of the heart if you're not super paying attention. Genji Glove there in the secret room in the Fanatics Tower for Javinator. Von Merlin about to find his experience egg. Unfortunately, a bit late in the race for that to be hugely useful. But, you know, there's still Drgns to be fought. And why not double that?
Yeah, he does still have 5 of them to go. I mean, at that point, you might as well. If you're still going to be going through a few, it might make everything else a bit easier later on down the line, help you catch up a bit of that lost time.
Yeah, and we have seen in the past racers that just have a bunch more levels overtake people who have pretty significant leads. Jack now moving into Final Kefka, and he has the ability to put out a lot of damage pretty quickly. Could very well be, 115 to 120, depending on how rough Kefka is to him. And it is a little hard to compare times that people are going to get in this race to standard race times, because this is fairly different. People often ask in the chat when we're doing restreams, what's the average time for a race? And the answer is basically, I don't know.
This is definitely one of the fastest seeds I've seen raced recently.
Yeah, well, if you turn on certain things, they're going to be fast. If you turn on certain other things, they're going to be slow. It was for a long time the goal of the top runners to kind of get to sub 130. And right now, I mean, at that point we had standard flags. We don't really have them at the moment. We did get a big update which randomized the commands around, and nobody's ever really settled on anything since then. There's been a survey done, and there's some test seeds going on, but nothing officially has changed. So we just run whatever.
Yeah, with time that'll change. Like, we'll have standard again. Even then, I think it'll probably normalize around that hour and a half, 2 hour mark. But you'll always have seeds like this where not only is it low requirements, but also things really did just kind of fall in place for everyone between easy bosses, Illuminas everywhere, and basically anything you could ask for.
Yep, and Jack, as mentioned near the start, kind of the only person that did what you should do at the start of an all dance seed and went and learned that landslide because it's stupid useful. So other people had bigger teething problems at the start, but as you can see, Fraggle also already in Kefka's Tower. Von Merlin going for the Ballygarmanda check for some reason. I guess it is right there, but he does also have all he needs. Javinator, 1 dragon ahead of Von Merlin at this point, about to be 2, as Jack moves into Tier 2.
I almost wonder if he's thinking, okay, I might be a little bit behind on levels, so I'll take this check up the mountain here and hope for the best instead of just going back down out and keeping on going. So I think that might be playing into it, but I'm not sure it's going to pay off realistically.
Yeah, he is. He did just find that experience egg also. And the Ballygarmanda check is right there once you fought the dragon. It's also possible that he doesn't have a warp stone and decided fighting a boss and then running past Umaro would be faster than walking back down. Who knows? We can ask him later.
Meanwhile, Jack has just sailed up to the second tier of this Kefka fight at the moment. He's doing really, really well with it. There's not too much that's threatening to him. His Edgar has almost 8,000 HP max to begin with because of that 100% HP Esper, so going to not have much of a problem, but the question is just how quickly is he going to get through it?
Yeah. The real test will probably be in the next tier because we do have the distort normalized stats on. Girl can be rather more of a problem than she usually is. She can have upwards of something like 27,000 health, which is a lot when she has Pearl Wind, and something like a 1 in 3 chance to do it every turn. My stream is going real janky.
Yeah, I think given that he was comfortable using Flare on White Dragon instead of just trying to bash it down and hope for no Pearl procs, I think he'll probably end up just going straight for Flare, blast her down as quickly as possible, and then he shouldn't have too much of a problem with sleep from there either.
Yeah, he does have access to Flare, as mentioned, and even if you have Illuminas, which she will absorb the proc from Illuminas if you get a Pearl proc. Illumina itself is not wholly elemental, so if it were me, I would take a swing with the double Illumina, see what happened, and then start casting magic. Another notable thing, you can't get a proc on a Killing Blow, which helps with that testing out of the Illumina thing gamble.
Grogo did go down here, and I don't think that Magic has much HP left, so I'm kind of concerned that he might actually just lose Gogo here. Yep, there he goes.
It's unfortunate. But, yeah, not much you can do about it if you're dealing out damage that quickly, aside from not queuing up multiple actions at the same time.
I think it's probably fine for him to. Gogo is easily the weakest part of that four-man party at that point, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue.
No, he's not going to be super worried about that, but it's going to be an annoyance. And now we're seeing the Life 3s come out. I wonder if we will see that poison cured at any point, because poison and sap or seizure or whatever you like to call the other status that the first tier can inflict on you. Once you get Fallen One at the start of Kefka 4, that's an instant death, essentially.
Yeah, he's queuing up the remedy with that Setzer now. I mean, what else are you going to do with Setzer that's not equipped, not ready to really do anything?
Cry?
That is a valid idea. But Girl's already gone, so now he's just got to worry about getting through sleep, and that shouldn't take him that long. Or I guess Girl's not already gone, he's just trying to do some damage to him in the meantime.
Yeah, splitting at the damage is a strategy we'll often see. Probably just didn't want to take the chances on the procs from that. Calmness blocked by Lock. Girl isn't dead. Can he get her down before she casts that Life 2? Doesn't look like he's moving on yet. Hopefully that flare does it for him. Javinator entering Kefka's Tower. Von Marlin about to fight the final dragon outside of Kefka's Tower. Fraggle fighting his final required dragon with a single character. There's that Life 2. Jack did not do that right. Let's just say that. He done did a goof.
Well, at very least, I believe he's, already taken him back down in just one hit of the double Illuminas, and then Girl was apparently less than 3,000 HP away from dying at that point anyways. Down she goes, and he's on to the final tier.
That just shows you how strong Illuminas are. I was looking away. Did he get procs on those as well, or was it just the swings?
Just the swings.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because that tells me that I had thought that Life caps out HP, or Life 2 just gives full HP, but it seems like it actually just gives 999.
Yeah, it might
have expected, I suppose.
It must be beholden by the healing cap, which is not something I was aware of. And that does actually make the strategy of killing sleep first more viable to me as a general idea. I mean, if you know you can put out 10k in a turn, it's not a big deal. So 2 Drgns on the screen, 1 KT, and 1 final Kefka. I presume Jack is not going to have much of a problem here. No Mega Elixirs, I think, on anyone that I saw pick them up. Hyperdrive, someone's going down.
That's the one downside of seeing number 24 instead of Magi Master. You don't get the free Mega Elixir from it. And then what's the point?
Yeah, Jack just going all out, it would seem. On this Beyond Chaos, hoping he can get the damage out before It's a dead Kefka. I mean, those 2 procs are going to help a lot.
Yeah, I think he might have actually just gotten it with those 2 procs, honestly.
Yeah, there's the Krakow. Jack has officially finished, our first place finisher, with an official time of 1:14.24, just under the 1:15 mark that I was predicting. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview. And there's Beavis and Butthead doing a dance.
While we're waiting for him to get in for that interview, Von Marlin has managed to take down that last dragon. He'll be entering KT soon. Fraggle working his way up the tower to get to those bosses. Javinator also on his way has not hit those 2 solo dragons yet, so there's a little bit of a road left to travel for the remaining 3 runners that we have on stream, but they're not too far off.
No, this was always going to be a pretty quick seed, given decent gear, and they got decent gear, and then they got, like, top-tier spells pretty quickly, so... Yeah, this is... I mean, it's a fast seed. What more can you say? Fast seed done by competent runners. Fraggle moving on to the statues portion of Kefka's Tower. Von Merlin is going to KT. Yep, he has prepared. It's on its way. So 3 of our racers in Kefka's Tower. Jack has left Kefka's Tower via the expedient method of making it fall down.
Which honestly is usually the quickest way to leave a building. If you can safely make any building fall down around you, then it is going to be your quickest way to get back outside.
Yeah, that's just a fact. That's a science fact. So
I like to think that we can occasionally make these streams educational for the entire internet at home.
Well, yeah, I mean, we do have the entire internet here. It behooves us to let them leave better than they came in. I didn't know there was a chest there that Fraggle just got. And I think, I'm fairly certain I've played this game at least twice before.
Yeah, learning all sorts of things. Learning there's a chest there. I learned that Storm Dragon doesn't absorb thunder. You know, we learned about buildings falling down. We're in pretty good shape there for that.
Yeah, knowing about buildings falling down is important. Unfortunately, where I live, most of the buildings are like 3 stories at most. You might as well just use the stairs at that point.
Yeah, it's deeply unfortunate. It's not advice that works for everyone, but it is advice that could work in some circumstances.
Yeah, if you live in a city and you're not knocking down buildings to get out of them, frankly, you're wasting a lot of time.
Dance, dance, baby!
And we are joined in the booth by Dancimus. How is it going? That was a very fast seed for you.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of dancing and plotting early on, but then I found all these Valyrian steel blades and decided I'm just going to stab my problems away.
That is the best solution, usually, as literature has taught us. So what did you think of the seed as a whole?
I like the flags and the setup and everything, but when you pick up a curse shield for 6 and an Illumina within the first 30 seconds, you know that the dance is going to fall to the wayside pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. You are also the only person that actually went out of your way to learn that landslide dance early, or any dance before they fought a boss. So you had that advantage as well.
Oh,
one thing you didn't find that would have helped you, sort of. I mean, there was just Illuminas all over the place, but Fraggle went to the shop in World of Balance Nourish, and they were just straight up for sale.
Oh, so there were even more Illuminas if you really wanted to.
Yeah, no, there was just such an easy way to get through this with gear and good spells right out of the gate that didn't really matter how I set it up.
Yeah, no, this was definitely the seed where I checked the least amount of shops ever. In that I only checked World of Ruin South Figaro when I was just basically treasure hunting at the start. and then I looked in Figaro Castle just when I was there for consumables. And yeah, I think the only thing I actually bought was like a single wall ring and some consumables. Everything else I just found. And when you're finding Illuminas everywhere and a Ragnarok just for kicks, you know you've going to have a pretty easy time of it.
Your
Mostly it
double
was just
Illumina, Genji Glove, Ragnarok, Paladin Shield. You've
Yeah.
got invincible characters.
Yeah, I had a couple invincible characters there, and just for the one that didn't, I had a Life 3 spell on Edgar with his like 8,000 hit points from that 100% HP Esper the whole game, and then the muscle belt. So not a whole lot to really be concerned with in terms of losing any fights there. It was really just a matter of micromanaging that experience egg to get as much damage as I could on the final boss and get rid of it a little faster. It was also, I thought it was pretty funny that I killed Sleep twice before I killed Girl in Tier 3.
Yeah, I didn't notice the second one, but I did notice the first one. I guess Enth and I were saying we thought it actually maxed out your health, but I guess it only does 9999 when you get Life 2 cast on you.
The Life 2? Yeah, that's a hard limit, so...
Yeah,
I mean, thank goodness for that, or I might have had to hit it with the Illumina like 2 or 3 more times.
yeah, that would have cost you so much time. You would have lost your 114. You would have been at 115, and that would be just depressing.
Hey, well, I mean, this is still the fastest finish in any weekly ever, so that's kind of cool, even though I know the flags were a little non-standard in terms of requirements, and, well, when there's Illuminas all over Hell's Creation, I mean, how can you not go fast? They're so good.
Yeah, I think all of the remaining racers are in Kafka's Tower, so if any of them go over 2 hours somehow, it's going to be because something goes badly wrong in the final Kafka fight.
I can kind of see that too. I mean, I know a lot of players like to have a certain amount of safety going into Kafka's Tower. Like, I didn't find any good helmets or body pieces the entire game.
Good helmets.
And I broke both of my shields in the first 10 minutes. So, like, I think I had, like, a single Aegis shield on top of the Paladin shield. And yeah, like, all my defense came from the evasion values on my swords and shields. Like, I had no actual defense at all, which I could see might concern some people, but I, had Gogo as a runic bot, so I was thinking, the worst of it should be sucked up there.
Fraggle might be taking a reset here.
Ruh-roh.
Got Life 3'd in a Vargas fight because of the countdown. It's unfortunate.
I kind of feel like I've gloated enough because I know there's a lot of other people still racing. Anything else for me before I wander off?
Boo Jack?
Fair enough. Let's go, Bruins!
Yay, sports, I guess.
Well, Fraggle did manage to get through that fight pretty tightly, as you were saying there. That Life 3. I don't think I've actually ever seen that be necessary in a Vargas fight, but I guess there's a first time for everything today.
Well, that's also the danger of when you... Like, Jack had 6 characters. He was able to send at least 2 down each path, even if they weren't necessarily useful. Fraggle has 4. So there's 2 paths he's doing with a single character, which can make any boss that isn't just a complete joke a danger.
I'm not sure, but I don't think he even actually sent Gogo into the tower with him. I know he's had Gogo for forever and didn't bother putting him in his party before, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, you know what, I'm sticking with these 3 anyways.
Well, we'll find out in a minute when we see the little list of characters he's got. And there's that running away on Javinator's screen that we were talking about earlier. Between the Ifrit Shiva change up, saving him a bit of time there that Jack did not save. He had to use Flare again, which is Jack's favorite spell in the game, by the way.
We have seen the Sprite walk in, and he did only take those 3, so he left Gogo behind on the airship.
Yeah, we will have to question him on his hatred of the person. Maybe he just really wanted to write Dance Commander and not go Dance Commander shoes. to just...
I mean, it's a strategy, I guess. He said he was going to do something interesting before we got in here, and this has certainly been interesting watching him just go with a 3-character strat through the whole seed.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't like Inspector Gadget, frankly. He's a disturbed human. Von Merlin getting through all of the Drgns. It is now a broken seal.
Yeah, and I feel like Javinator has actually been catching up a little bit on Fraggle through this, probably due to having characters in this party comparatively. So that's helpful. I'm not sure if he'll have enough time to catch up all the way, but he has been making some progress there.
Yeah, unfortunately he has a... he's actually making use of the Dragon Horn. I had not noticed until now. I did see an Aura Lance at some point, so that makes sense. I don't know where the Dragoon Boots came from, though.
They were purchasable, and I want to say Nikea World of Balance Relic Shop or World of Ruin Relic Shop, one of the two. I don't remember which one it was.
Well, showing off that, sometimes you do the shopping, you get the ability to poop out a lot of damage. I mean, there's certainly other ways of doing that, but having a third character being able to do something ridiculously powerful, it's always going to help. So, Von Merlin making his way up to the statues as Fraggle enters Tier 2.
I do think it's been really interesting seeing these 3 sort of like accordion back together a little bit towards the end here. Because there was a lot of distance between them before Jack got into the tower, and while we were sort of watching him get through that end area, they all started catching up to each other.
Oh, Fraggle got in here first when Von Merlin still had like 3 more dragons to kill, or something stupid. And that shows you how much difference, A, Fraggle only had 1 character on each path, but B, just some extra levels or some extra gear, that one other person doing damage the whole time, it can make a big difference. And also, we're about to see another... Was it Edgar also? No, it was Locke, wasn't it? It was someone. But Vargas and the Ipoos on their reunion tour. Not much of an audience today. Just Edgar.
It's interesting, the other divergence in strategy here, where we've seen both Jack and Fraggle passing around the Illumina, or I think Fraggle just had Illuminas on everyone to begin with. Javinator's left that Ragnarok on Edgar and not bothered messing with all the equipment, so I almost wonder if that might actually hurt him here. Especially if he doesn't have Life 3 on this end.
Because if he better have Life 3, because those 2 procs cost him a lot of time, and then he hit a bear. He hit a bear. He didn't go for Vargas. I think that's a misclick. And the Flare proc again. I think that's going to be a reset. Unless he just goes for swinging for the stands, and it did not work. That is unfortunate. Just that hitting the bear cost him that. If he had hit Vargas, almost definitely would have gone down.
And it kind of shows, like, the other thing about these really low requirement seeds is not just, you're going to have fewer levels, that sort of thing, when you get into Kefka's Tower. It's also, you're really on a bit of a knife's edge on some of these fights, too, where if you only have 1 person there, you make that 1 mistake, it is absolutely brutal getting past it.
Yeah, I've mentioned this in most of the races I've ever commentated, but bad things can happen. You can make a mistake. Random bosses can do nasty things. Like Doomfist last time gave him 19. It gives him 19 again. I don't know how that works. It's somehow based on level or something. Someone told me once and I immediately forgot because it's complicated. But the numbers are gonna be pretty similar on the same person from the same boss in the same place. So if he doesn't have Life 3, which he does not, he's just got to swing for it and hope it works. And this time it does.
Yeah, it also was really unfortunate that he was getting Ragnarok procs, but his Illumina that he had was just refusing to proc the entire time.
Yeah, 19 seconds, quote unquote, is not a terribly long time to get through a boss like that. Like, if he hadn't gotten any procs, I'm not sure if that would have been faster than getting a Flare proc or not, because Flare's slow, and Pearl is slow. But they were also doing more damage than the swings, so who knows? Fraggle onto tier 3, taking some Merton damage on one character who is dead.
Just barely short of Merton strats. Quite unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there were elemental shields kicking around. There's a paladin shield. There was probably, if people had really wanted to and actually had access to the spell, which I think is the main important thing I haven't seen. It was probably possible to do Merton strats.
Yeah, he did have those elemental shields, but he was breaking elemental shields to get through those dragons, which is probably where all of that went.
Well, that's fine. We are seeing Javinator moving on to KT. Well, sorry, KT. Final Kefka now. And we'll see if that fourth character lets him catch up. He's probably got more levels and more equipment than Fraggle as well, who was just kind of running the whole time.
Yeah, and he was just using super balls to try and do damage here, so that's not always the best thing to have happen either. It's like, well, I don't have much else, and these Illuminas will just heal if they proc, so better hope the super ball works.
Oh, I'd just go for the Illumina swing, honestly. You always throw at least one. And he does have that rag to proc flare as well. 2 flares on screen. And an X potion coming out. Not a lot of elixirs I saw picked up by anyone either. It seemed like Jack got to the final boss and only had 1 X potion. Fraggle.
Yeah, there hasn't been much in the way of healing items, or healing magic for that matter, outside of Life 3 in this seed, but generally no one's needed it because doing damage is better healing than anything else.
Yeah, that is almost universally true in this game. The only time that you really need to concern yourself with healing is the end boss, because it's a gauntlet. So you're gonna be holding back whatever you have until this fight most of the time. And Drg goes down and comes back up.
Here's the interesting question to me, is not just if Javinator catches up, but does he catch up and end up still being behind by the amount that one bear hit cost him? Because that would be very unfortunate.
Well, again, with that dragon horn, and I mean, just that dragon horn on its own, but a dragon horn and a fourth character is going to give him a lot more damage output than Fraggle has per turn. So it is possible. Oh, Fraggle relying on an ether. Not an item you see come out in this rando very much. Oh! Pulling a Magicite. And he gets... I think that was Tri-Talk.
It sure
And
was.
a limit break. Which is actually probably not what he wanted there. I think he might have been hoping for the flare proc. And the auto crit.
He is having a very hard time doing enough damage to Girl here, because she's still healing for full amount.
Yeah, at this point, I would consider throwing a dance. If he has the Plains Dance, that's solid healing, and I'm fairly certain this place counts as a Plains. It's either a Plains or a mountain, something stupid. Doesn't make any sense. A lot of these weird background screens are things you wouldn't expect. Like, I believe the river counts as Plains also. So, some things also count as more than one environment. Dance is weird.
Dance is weird, and it's a shame we didn't get to see more of the interesting parts of dance in this one, but we did definitely see, the difference early on between the person who went and picked up that one good dance early and the people who were like, you know what, I'll learn a dance through doing some fights. I'm just gonna go for it and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's like... If Fraggle gets through this fight and loses to Javinator, it's going to be entirely because of that one fight he did with the cave dance against Umaru. It was just a total waste of time. But, we also saw Von Merlin try to go in against that fight with no dances at all, and then he took the time to go learn the plains dance and the forest dance.
And now look at him, he was way behind, and now he's also in this final fight on tier 1. So basically, 3 screens, 3 tiers, take your pick. Whichever one's more interesting to you, you got something to watch right now.
And, yeah. This is a fairly close race. I mean, Jack, obviously, he's been done for, 20 minutes now? But these other 3, they're going to be done within probably 10 minutes of each other, assuming Fraggle gets through this. Calmness did not hit him, but then he got condemned, which implies Girl still isn't dead. And is still not dead.
Another thing to note is we do have other people who are running in this race who aren't being restreamed. None of them have finished yet either, so...
Jack is indeed the very first and only completer of the seed so far. And as he is noting in chat, it very much played into his wheelhouse of I like physical attacks, I know how dance works. I will straight up run into Final Kefka without any preparation whatsoever. It worked out for him. Fraggle probably gonna have to take a reset on this. He's gonna have a dead guy, 2 blind people, and he is on to Final Kefka. Does he have the damage to do it? If he has to take a reset at this point, he's probably coming in 4th.
Probably, but if he does get through this, it is gonna be one of the more exciting moments we've seen in one of these community races lately, so here's to hoping he manages to pull this one out.
Yeah, recently we did have the finals of the KGP, and we did have sort of a similar situation. The person who got to Final Kefka first lost the race and was eliminated because they got all the way to Final Kefka and died and had to do it all over again. And in the time that took, other people had a chance to do the other tiers upwards of 3 times. That was a crazy race.
Even in the grand finals, too, we had, Jack catching up until the very end. It just takes that one moment to really tilt things in one direction, and any one of these could be 2nd place.
Yep. That is one of the things I like about this rando, because they all basically went in different directions. Certainly the order of the Drgns was all over the place. And here they all are at the end together. And one mistake or some bad luck from... he's got some X potions, does Fraggle. He could be fine. Question is whether he takes the time to... he found some shields he's going to break. Probably just going to try to keep one person up and see what he can do. But is 2750 going to get him through Goner, is the question. Calmness for Javinator. Put Setzer to sleep?
That must mean he got the other calmness that happens just as a random ability during the fight instead of the instant death counter one.
There's so many things that can happen in these final battles that are just super rare. I forget. Especially when Magic does something weird. Because it seems like he has access to basically all of the magic in the game.
Fraggle's done it. 2nd place with a time of 39:06.
Well done to Fraggle. That was a close ending for him, both in terms of getting out in front of these other people and not dying to Kefka. And more importantly, Tier 3, which could have just wiped him. I was leaning very heavily towards, Fraggle's going to have a reset here. But we've going to pull him in here to the interviews room. And GG's Fraggle. Congrats on second place, etc.
Many thanks. That was quite a fun race.
Fraggle. Yeah, I was pretty worried for you when Tier 3 came up there.
Oh god, the never-ending Pearl winds.
Yeah.
Going through all my consumables, just like, please stick.
Yeah, also all those resets you had to take at the start.
Yeah.
It seemed like the game gave you a rough bit for a fair while, but you still managed to get second place here. So, good job on that, man.
Thanks. The plan was, when I seen the flag set, can I do it with just the 3 people? And, well, how many Illuminals did everyone have after the first 5 minutes?
You had 3 at some point and a Ragnarok. I think you're the only one that found them to purchase, though.
Ah, awesome. Well, yeah. Whole day to win. Just stop doing cave-in on Amaro.
Yeah, that was a big old mistake. I was gonna say, if you take third place on this, it's because you used the cave dance, which is just horrendous for bosses.
Yeah, but I was hoping for Hellfire.
Of course you were, but it's not the common thing.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, yeah, we were wondering for quite a while why you weren't using Go-Go. I posited the theory that it was just because you don't like Inspector Gadget and didn't want to Go-Go Dance Commander Illuminus.
I had 3 people. Why did I need trash?
Well, you could have given him the dance command 3 times.
Yeah, but Go-Go is not Dance Commander. Because then I couldn't have had Dance Commander. It's all about
you
style.
could have spread out the letters a bit more. That's not a compelling argument.
There is no spreading, there is only Zool.
Oh, have you found the Keymaster recently?
Yes, I believe Jack is the gatekeeper.
Ah. Well, I'll look forward to the end of the world then.
Alright, 2021 folks, stay tuned.
Yeah!
So yeah, GG, everyone who took part. And suck at Zelfa, I beat you!
Oh, yeah, Zelfer just now finishing up in the background, so I guess Boo gets to make fun of him for a bit today.
I'm gonna talk out, hit chat, praise Atma, great to see a good turnout for the race, and radio message from HQ, Dance Commander, we love you.
You must obey the Dance Commander.
I see what he means about spreading out the words, though, because then what would you have had? You would have had, like, calm and then man and then der, and I think just having the one character named man is a bit not quite as good as having command on one line.
Yeah, probably also having one of them named Calm is not going to sound great. Final Kefka up on Javinator's screen. Von Merlin on Tier 3. There's a Goner coming out with that super anime flash.
One thing that happened on Javinator's stream while we were doing that interview is he reached a point where he had 1 hit left on sleep, had just gotten hit with Meteo. Setzer's life 3 was down. Did the hit because he had it queued up, so you had that intense moment of, is this calmness going to knock out Setzer? And then, he got into the final fight with everyone at like 50 HP.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, there were no Mega Elixirs I saw anyone pick up. And Jack said in chat some little while ago that he found like 4 X potions and an elixir in the entire run-up. Granted, these other 2 have actually done a bit of shopping, so they probably have more consumables around, but it's still not a lot. They got life 3. That's basically it.
This Kefka's got to go down, well, basically now as I'm saying that. So that will actually be 5th place for Javinator with 144.10, getting sniped by 6 seconds by Ficta off screen, who got 144.04. So good job from him. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview as well.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Von Marlin has made it to the last phase. That really kind of showing how close this was for everyone else outside of that, 20-minute gap. It's been just a few minutes, and in one case, 6 seconds between people.
Yep. So final Kefka up for Merlin there. And I'm trying to get Dancinator into the interview room.
Meanwhile, while you're doing that, Grimwolf finishing in 6th place with a time of 1:45.35. So about time for the interview, but Von Marlin looking like he's going to coast to 7th.
Yeah, and we are now joined by Javinator. GG, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, what did you think of that seed?
It was pretty fun. I got off to a little bit of a slow start, even though I had an Illumina like right away. I had a couple of slow choices, but once I kind of caught my stride, I was good.
Yeah, I did have a
good.
question actually about how you started your race, because you went straight for Kefka at Narsh, saw it wasn't a character, and then still reset. And that was weird to us because you didn't want characters anyway.
Yep. So, right or wrong, my thinking there was basically, I don't know what I was checking for. I think in my head it was like just kind of ingrained that that's kind of what I've been doing at the start lately. And then when I got up there and saw it wasn't a character, I was like, well, there's only 3 Espers anyway, and it's not like I'm going to be hurting for Espers. So realistically, it was just an immediate lack of judgment. I probably should have just not done that in the first place.
I mean, it could have turned out bad, and it's a long check, and then it's another minute to walk out of there, so up in the air whether it was the correct choice, but yeah, it just seemed a little odd to us is all.
No, that's a pretty fair observation.
Yeah, the other main thing I remember about your little run there is you got up to Vargas and the Ipoos.
Oh no.
With that
The attacking the
19-second countdown, and you made the mistake of hitting that bear.
Yeah, that's just sheer panic right there. That's sometimes that occurs.
Yeah, well, you managed to get through it the second time, and I was worried about that as well, because 19 seconds is not a long time when you're proccing flare, etc.
I was a little scared because he was basically my only character that didn't have life 3. So I was kind of thinking next time I'll go on life 3, and I actually went and checked the spell list, and then it wasn't there. So worst case, if I'd wiped again, I would have gone really safe, and I probably would have grinded, because life 3 didn't take too long. I might have grinded a couple fights to get him life 3, and then gone in again if I wiped again, but luckily I didn't.
Yeah, we did see Fraggle went through sort of the same thing, but he did have that life 3, so he got through it on his first try. But other than that, it seemed like a pretty good race for you. How long have you been around the Discord? I don't think I've seen you race before.
I pretty much since the Christmas holidays, so I think I joined the Discord sometime around December 20th or so.
Oh.
And I've just been watching and racing since then, kind of hooked.
Well, pretty good showing tonight for, what's that, like maximum of a month there? Sitting around with the game, so yeah, good job, man.
Thanks very much, appreciate it. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for commentating. Thanks for the community. This is a pretty wicked community. I can't stay off the Discord. So yeah, thanks very much. And yeah, GG's everybody.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the good showing there.
No problem. See you later.
Have a good one. And we will try to get our final runner of the restream up here in a moment, once I figure out which dance pun he changed his name to.
I believe he's Von Dancer of the people at the moment. But he did come in 7th place with a time of 1:47.47, so it really showed, again, how much everyone caught up to each other towards the end. And it seems like he doesn't want to join us for an interview tonight, which is, understandable some nights. So think that's pretty much it then.
Can't always be up for it. We'll just do our final little plugs of the night. Go follow all delicious racers. They put on a good show for us tonight. Go follow the Restream team, aside from me, because... also don't follow Jack. Just ignore Jack. And, for sure, everyone come join the Discord. Come try the game. It's a lot of fun. I consider it the gold standard of randomizers at the moment. And there's lots of resources to get you started. It's a very welcoming community. And it's just a lot of fun with a lot of good people. So, stop on by. And as always, many thanks to Atma for making the randomizer. Thank you to Entheo here for doing the comms with me, buddy.
Yep. Thank you as well for joining us. And also thanks to our tracker Mildane and our restreamer Jose Mano for tonight. Obviously, very good job on tracking and good job keeping us running so we could give this race to you.
Yep. We will be back next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Almost always here on Randomania 1, occasionally on Randomania 2. And, we did have all of the internet here today, but I think if all of the internet could go tell their friends and buy them computers and routers and an ISP, we could get even more people in next week. So get to work on that. And we'll see y'all the next time.